now it's time to roll up your sleeves. Well, mine are already rolled up. As a matter of fact, this one I need to roll down so it looks better. And in this module, I want to show you how to get your property on Craigslist. You might be saying, well, Jack, that's easy. You just put up a Craigslist ad and so on. Yes, but there's a few tricks that I want to show you to make sure that your properties run on Craigslist, particularly also if you have multiple properties in multiple areas around the country, and because there's a few things that Craigslist likes you to do and other things that Craigslist does not like you to do. So in this module, I'm going to show you exactly how you can do these Craigslist ads in a way that you maximize your impact and minimize the chances that Craigslist is actually going to ban you from their website. All right? That's enough said. Everything else I'm going to show you right there on the screen because it's basically a demonstration. All right? See you there.
Hi everyone, my name is actually Alex. I run most of the online technology side of the business for Jack. So Jack asked me to show you what we do on Craigslist to get our land listings up. There's a bunch of little tricks that we use in order to get around Craigslist's restrictions that are currently working right now. And so I'm going to walk you through what we do, and then Jack's going to jump in at the end and kind of finish up this video. So one thing I want to say before we get started is that Craigslist is a separate company. They always are changing things. Our processes kind of reflect their changes that they make. For example, we actually had a completely different process about a year ago, and Craigslist made a bunch of changes, and we had to change up our process as far as listing. So at any time they can change their process, but what I will say is they do have a kind of common mission that they've always had, and that is Craigslist started out as a local classified type service, so that local people could post local items up for sale or services up for sale and reach their local market. And they've always kind of kept that core mission in place, even though Craigslist has blown up probably beyond what they've ever imagined, and it's in all markets in the United States and a lot of countries as well. So if you know that Craigslist is trying to keep everything local, you can kind of understand when they come up with new restrictions, they're always kind of revolving around this core mission of theirs to keep everything local. So having said that, we always want to create the best ads that get the most attention so that we can sell our properties fast. And the other thing that we're always keeping in mind is that we are not, in a lot of cases, a local person selling a local piece of land. A lot of times we actually invest in property that is outside of our state or maybe outside of the area that we actually live in. So when we go to post something on Craigslist, we need to be aware that we're posting something that is in a different area, and that's inherently something that Craigslist doesn't like. So one of the things I would like to point out to you is if you go to Craigslist.org and you just hit enter on your address bar, you'll notice that it will pick up your location and it will transfer you or redirect you to the closest Craigslist local area that you're in. So in this case, it said the closest area that I'm in is in Phoenix, and then it transferred me there, and it also says Phoenix, Arizona up at the top. Now, the other thing is they actually start saving this information in the background. So if you ever come back to Craigslist and you go to Craigslist.org, they actually don't pull your location anymore. They just look at the information they've stored on your browser. And that is why every single time you come back to Craigslist from now on, it's going to transfer you over there. And so the way around that, let's just say that I am in Phoenix, and which I currently am, and but I want to be posting a property that is in Florida, in a different state completely. The process that we go to, and I'll walk you through that, is the following. In a browser, wherever it redirects us, it doesn't matter. We're going to go over to the right-hand side and go to U.S. states and then we're going to choose the state that the property is located in. In this case, so we're going to say that the property is in Florida. So I'm going to click on Florida. Let's just say that the property is in Jacksonville, Florida. Or it's near Jacksonville, Florida, I should say. Now, if you notice at the top, it doesn't say phoenix.craigslist.org anymore. It says jacksonville.craigslist.org. Now, if we actually were in Jacksonville or near Jacksonville, it would actually automatically detect that the first time we showed up and redirect us over there. Now, if I hit enter again, it's going to take me back to the same area, but now you'll notice that if I delete the Jacksonville part and I go back to just Craigslist.org, it redirects me now to Jacksonville because I've saved the tracking information as Jacksonville in this case. So the other thing that we do is we actually go a step further in trying to go around their tracking. And that is that we copy this address from the address bar. So we're going to right click, copy it. And we are going to open what's called an incognito window, which is every browser has a private or incognito mode. And the way that you access it is you right click over the browser icon that's running on your desktop. Now you can see at the bottom here I have Chrome at the bottom. This is the icon for Chrome. That's what I'm running here. So if I right click on the Chrome icon, then I can pull up this menu, and on the menu it says New Incognito Window. If I open that up, it's going to open a browser window, which looks kind of similar, but you'll see that it's very different. It's it's basically a different color scheme, and it also says you've gone incognito, which basically means that Chrome is trying to prevent Craigslist or any site from tracking you. So what you want to do is right click over the address bar of this new incognito window, and then you want to paste in the direct address to that local market. Okay, in this case it's jacksonville.craigslist.org. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to go ahead and go over there. Now, the other thing is you're going to need a Craigslist account. The great thing, as I mentioned before, Craigslist accounts are free. So you can create a free account. All that is required is that you have a unique email address. So I'm going to show you from what we do in creating a new Craigslist account. So the next step that we would do is we go over to where it says My Account. Click on that. And down here it says to create an account, we've got to enter an email address. Now you could put your personal email address there, but I don't recommend that. What I do recommend is that you go to gmail.com and set up a free Gmail address, and they're easy to do, and they're free again. Here's how we do it. So we're going to gmail.com, and I'm going to click Create an Account. Now I'm going to go and just type in some information. So I'll just put in my first name here, last name here, and then so under choose a username, you can choose all kinds of stuff, but I'm just going to type in land 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. See if that's available. Okay. Well, it's already taken, so great. So let's say land sales. See if that's taken. That looks good. All right. So now under create a password, I'm going to go ahead and just choose a password and re-enter that again. Birth date. Let's just say February 1st, 1984. Doesn't matter your gender, just select something, and then I don't think you don't need the mobile phone or email address, I believe. So I'm just going to click next step, and it's going to ask me to agree to their terms and conditions. I'm going to agree to that, and voila, we created a brand new email address with Gmail, and this is the email address. I'm going to copy that and save it in my memory. But the one extra step that we do is under the actual settings. So if we go back to Gmail here by clicking on the menu and then going to Gmail, it's going to take us to our email account of our brand new email we just set up. And what you want to do is click on the settings icon right here in the top right. Then click on Settings. And then under this tab that says Forwarding and Pop IMAP, you click that. Under where it says Forwarding, there's a button that says Add a Forwarding Address. We want to add that, our personal address to that. So let's just say that my personal one is Alex D 123456789 Okay, I will forward all the emails to this address, and it does ask you to verify that, so you will have to actually log into your personal address and click a verification link for that to be set up. But I won't do that right now, and that is not my real address. But that's what you want to do, and then you want to click Save Changes when it's done. What that will do is anytime an email is sent to this email address, which is this one right here, it's going to be forwarded to whatever you had set for your address under forwarding. Okay, so it makes it very easy for you to create multiple email addresses and keep a handle on all these incoming messages that you might receive. All right, so having said that, what we want to do now is take that address that we just set up and then paste it into where it says create an account that you want an email address. So I'm going to paste that new account in there, land sales 123456789, and click create account. Then it says that we need to activate the account by going to check out the email. So I'll go back to my Gmail tab and I can see that there is a message from Craigslist. I'm going to click on this link to verify the account, and it's going to ask me to choose a password for my Craigslist account now. So I'll go ahead and type one in here. Oops, maybe I made a mistake there. Let me try it again. Alright, there we go. I created a password, and now I have a brand new Craigslist account. If I click on this link here, it tells me to accept the terms and conditions of Craigslist. I'm going to click accept, and then it's going to take me over to my account, and it says I have no postings at this time. Perfect. We got a brand new account. It's set up in the area that the property is located in. In this case, it's jacksonville.craigslist.com. So now the next thing is to actually create your post. And there's another couple of tricks here that I want to point out. So what you want to do is where it says new posting in Jacksonville, Florida, in this case, it'll say your area though. You want to click go, and that's going to take you over to this section right here. What you want to do at this point is select housing offered. This is not something that you might think you want to select, but you actually do. This is the proper way to post a land listing, because Craigslist doesn't have a direct area or section for land. It just has a section for housing and then a subcategory of land. So on this step, we're going to choose housing offered, and then we are going to choose real estate by owner, and it's going to take us to the listing. Now, like I said, Craigslist has a subcategory for land, and that is found under where it says housing type. You want to change that to say land. So as long as it says land here, your ad is going to show up in the correct spot on Craigslist. Now, let's actually go over to that spot on Craigslist so we can see exactly where this thing is going to post. So up here where it says Craigslist or CL, I'm going to actually open this in a new tab and show you. Actually, let me move that over here. I'm going to show you where this would show. So it's going to be under housing. It's going to be under real estate for sale. It's going to be under where it says housing type and land. And this is the category that it's actually going to show up in. Now, one thing that I want to point out here, which is another tip, is that when you're creating your listing, keep in mind how Craigslist is going to display your listing by default. So by default, they're going to show this gallery view, which basically shows a thumbnail. Your first image that you upload into Craigslist is going to show as your thumbnail. And then it's going to show your title of your post, and then the area of your post. So if we go back here, your title is going to be in that area, and then where it says specific location, that's also going to show up here in your post, as well as a big part of it is your image. So keep that in mind, because when people scroll through Craigslist, you want to make sure your ad sticks out amongst the sea of land-looking photos here. Keep that in mind. You want to kind of include a pattern interrupt, is what they call it in marketing, to make sure when somebody is just, their eye is scanning for patterns, that something interrupts that, and it just stands out. So like this little border of this yellow border and the red border I saw up here, that stuff stands out. What is not standing out is pictures that look similar, of just land, for example. All these look similar, so that just looks like somebody posts the ad a bunch of times, and those ones get flagged quite often. So that person that posting these is going to get flagged probably. If not by the system, by other users. So keep that in mind. So the other thing is, some people don't use the default view. They use what's called the list view. This is the other popular view of Craigslist. So in this case, you can see there's no picture that is shown, but a bunch of titles that display, as well as the area and the size of the property and the price. So you want to make sure that all of those factors, that you factor in some kind of a pattern interrupt. Like, for example, if I just scroll down here, the one that I see, what I stop on, is the one that says, or the one that shows an ASCII character of a boat. My eye is drawn to that, as well as the ones in all caps, or like half caps, half proper case, or these brackets, things like that. Your eye is drawn to. Everything else that kind of is all proper case is not going to stand out. So you want to keep that in mind when you actually create the listing itself. I'm not going to spend too much time on creating the listing, but I do want to create a little bit of an example for you, just so you know, and just highlight a few things that we look for. But don't take this as a marketing type video on how to write copy. Just this is a couple things that you want to keep in mind. So first off, we want to create some kind of pattern interrupt. So you might do like, wow, 1 acre residential lot for sale by owner near beaches. Let's see here. The location, Jacksonville, Florida. All right, one thing is, so this is going to stand out. The other thing I like to do is where it says lot for sale. I like to make that part stand out. So I might do something like this: lot for sale by owner and near beaches. Yeah, so you want to put a zip code. I'm not sure of the zip code for Jacksonville, but let me Google that. Zip codes, just so we have something in there. I'm just going to choose this one for now. Alright, so let me go back to my listing here, put in a zip code. Alright, in your body, this is going to be if somebody actually clicks on your listing. So like if they click on the listing, they're going to actually see the body of the text. So in here, you actually want to write a description. You want to follow Jack's process on creating a very good, compelling listing. Grabbing their attention and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be, your written text in here. Now, one thing I do want to cover though in this video is you can add some rudimentary HTML formatting to it. So for example, like bold characters. So if you want to bold something, you can actually use, if you want to make a very large headline looking thing in the body, you can actually type in the less than symbol here and then H1 and then the greater than symbol. That's called a header tag, and Craigslist currently accepts that for this category. Again, they can change things at any time, but currently this works. So this might be your headline you might put in here. All right. Now to end this tag, it's the same tag, so you can actually just copy this, paste it. But after this less than symbol, you actually have to create or put in a /, and that just tells Craigslist that you are starting the big bold text and then you're ending it. So those are good to add. Also, if you don't want your text to, or if you want your text to be broken up, like for example, paragraph 1, and then let's say you have another paragraph in here, and then another paragraph. So for example, each one of these right here are separate. Craigslist will actually read these line breaks, and it will display like this right here. The other thing that you can do in Craigslist currently in this category, because again it is category specific. Sometimes they allow you actually to put links in it, but not in this not in this particular category. So you can create a list, like a bullet point list, and that is done by typing in this command here. The UL stands for unsorted list, and so you create a similar tag as the H1 tag, but it says UL. And then inside these will be your bullet points, basically. And each of the bullet points are going to be surrounded by this tag right here. All right. So this would be bullet point 1, and then bullet point 2, 3, etc. So that is how you add bullet points to Craigslist. So these ones are supported at this time. The other one that they support is B, which is basically bold, if you want to bold something in your text. Okay, so just keep that in mind. You want to follow as far as the written copy of it, follow what Jack talks about in the other modules. But as far as Craigslist and the formatting, you can add these little rudimentary HTML tags in here, and Craigslist will accept that. All right, so we've got the headline that's a pattern interrupt. We've got some text in here. We've got some bullet points. The other thing I want to mention here, the reason I like bullet points is, like, for example, the size of the property, the county, the area, the map to the property, the zoning, the access to utilities and stuff. That's always really great to bullet point out, because if you notice, like for example, this listing right here has very little information. So it's very hard for somebody to go from this type of an ad to actually buying the property, or even be really seriously interested in the property, because there's not enough in here, not enough information for them to know that they're serious or not. There's no pricing information. There's no like the price right here is $53,000, but by reading this type of an ad, I don't know if this property at $53,000 is a deal or not. So all that needs to be kind of explained in your listing, and you want to do that under the body section of the ad. Okay. Having said that, again, we want to make sure the housing type is set to land. The price is very important, because the price, if I go back here to all the listings here, is actually shown up here, but it's not just displayed. It is actually part of the search criteria. So keep that in mind. Now, I do see a lot of people putting $1 here, and obviously they're not selling it for $1. What they are trying to do is trying to get people that put a minimum of, let's say, $1,000. If this property was $10,000, but they put $1 here, if I put from 1 to 1,000, then their ad would still show up. Now, I don't recommend doing this, because number one, you're attracting people that are probably don't have the money for your property anyways. And the other thing is you want to try to get qualified buyers. So just put the price in there that you're looking to sell the property for cash. Now, if you're offering owner financing, you might consider putting the down payment required here as a price. So, for example, if the property is $10,000 for cash, you might consider either putting $10,000 in this area, or if you want to get a $2,000 down payment, you could put $2,000 here. But then in your headline, just make sure up in the body of your post, that's one thing that you say right off the bat, is that this property is $10,000 with a $2,000 down payment, because people don't want to be kind of hoodwinked. They want to just know right off the bat what you're talking about with the $2,000. So that's the only thing I recommend if you want to do a lower price to kind of take advantage of the filtering that people do, is work with the down payment versus actually putting in a fake number of $1. But in a lot of cases, you probably just want to put in the sale price, the cash price, or the high amount, because if somebody's going to click on that, they at least are interested at the price at that amount. And if you have better terms where they only have to put down $2,000, then it's actually going to be an easier sell in the ad. So just keep that in mind. Now the other thing is, it's not a house, so we don't really care about the bedrooms, bathrooms. The feet, or the square feet. This is important because again, it shows up in the in this overview, this quick overview where people are making their quick decisions. So put in the square footage. It also is it's a filter right here. So people, if they're looking for like a half an acre, then they'll put in the square footage for a half an acre, and your listings will get filtered out based on that. So put in the square footage of your property. Even if you have the county gives it to you in acreage, go ahead and divide that by 43,560 to get the square footage, and then put that in here. Now, the other thing that you want to do is, you can see here that the contact information, you put in the email address. One thing that I see, which is kind of like a mistake I think that people make, is in their body description, they don't put their phone number in here. And here's another kind of tip, is it doesn't matter what phone number you're verifying the account with. We'll talk about that in a second here, that Craigslist eventually wants you to verify your account with a phone number. It doesn't matter that phone number matches the phone number that's in your ad. It can be two different numbers. So for example, if you have a tracking phone number for all of your Craigslist ads, which I highly suggest that you set up, like with Vumber or RingCentral or even Google Voice for that matter, you can go ahead and put that in your posting body, and I would recommend that you do that at least 3 times with a call to action for people to actually call you. So when you describe a little bit about your property and the terms, then I would throw in there like call or text me if you have questions, and then put in your phone number, your tracking phone number for Craigslist. And then again, maybe the details of the property under the bullet points section, and then again, like call or text me if you are interested in this property. So you're always putting that into this body section, and I would suggest that you do that at least 3 times, so that people can just read through your listing, but at any given point of scrolling through your listing, they have the chance to call you. And like I said, currently it doesn't matter what that phone number is. It can be a tracking number. It can be a completely different number than what you actually use on your account. So keep that in mind. Now, where it says contact info, we're going to select by phone and by text. The reason why we want to keep text in there, even if you're not a texter, is there is actually a lot of people that prefer to text you over calling you, especially in the beginning. So, and they might just text you like, okay, what's the size of the property, or is the property buildable? Simple questions like that, but they actually do play a big part of in selling it. And you can also text them back the answer, plus something like, but please give me a call if you want to see the property, or give me a call if you're interested in actually moving forward on the property. And that's a good way to actually get them to physically call you, but the lead is generated through this text. So check by phone, by text, put in your number. Again, this number doesn't have to be the same as your actual account number. It can be a tracking phone number. So let's say the tracking phone number is just 555-555-555, and your name, I'll just put my name in there, Alex, and I won't put any extension in there. Now, we do want to show on map, and I don't necessarily have an address, but we'll look one up. We'll click continue, and here's Jacksonville. Let's just say our property, since I don't have an address right now or GPS coordinate, let's just say our property is right here on the corner over here. We'll move it to there. I do recommend that you set the location of your land because, again, it is shown in your listing. If you look at this view, the thumbnail view and also the list view, both of them have this thing that says map, and it is an actual searchable filtered field. So I do recommend that you have a map to your property. The other thing is you do show up in this, which is like an overall map view of all the properties in that area. All right, so set the map, click continue, and images. Images are important because, like I said, the thumbnail is the first image, and it's a big part of the default view of somebody. So consider something like this, where you outline it in a font, or in a bright color. That works. Or, for example, this one is just outlined a bunch of pictures. That kind of works too. So just play around with it. But your bottom line is your thumbnail image, the very first image in your set of images, shouldn't necessarily be just of the property, like this one. Just keep that in mind. So, all right, here's some sample images. So, for example, you can choose a couple images. And then upload them, and they upload all at once. And then how Craigslist works is basically whatever is in this featured image spot, that's what's actually going to show. But again, I would use something that stands out. Like, actually, this picture of this elk would stand out if it was a hunting area for elk, because if you were an actual hunter and you were scanning through properties for sale, you saw a picture of an elk, it's going to stand out, number one, because nothing else has an elk on it. It just shows pictures of properties, whereas yours does. And if that's the market, if it's a hunting market, then that's a featured image that might stand out. But I would probably still add a red border around the image, and that would make it stand out even more. So I'm going to click Done with Images, and it's going to give me a preview of my ad. But you can see here I've got my bullet points. So all that HTML that we typed in the body part of the ad shows up as HTML. So you've got your headline, you got your bullet points, and you've got your bold text. This stands out a lot better if you format it this way than your average listing. So I do recommend that you do that. If you have the Investment Dominator generates this HTML all for you. But I do recommend that you use that in your listings. It does make it stand out. We've got our map in there, which also is a good feature, and then we've got our image that just stands out, as well as our other images. You do want to make sure that you have a bunch of images in there. The more the better, obviously, but again, look at Jack's videos on how to actually format the listing, where you're grabbing their attention. And then kind of follow that same process with images. So you don't want to just have images of the property. You want to have images of the area, things around that area that attract people to that area. Like if it's a buildable lot, you want to have pictures of people building houses in that area and what the houses look like in that area. Because once somebody builds a house, they want to know what their neighbors are going to look like as well. So what the entire neighborhood looks like. So those are more powerful pictures than the actual property itself. But when you do show the property itself, try to show an outline of it, try to show the boundaries of the property, because again, people want to know context of where this thing is located. Alright, so keeping that in mind, there is one other thing that I want to talk about in as far as images. Craigslist in this category does not, and I mentioned this before, but it does not allow for clickable links. That was one of the changes they made a few years ago. Before, you could actually use a clickable link from your ad, and that would actually go to your own website, which was pretty awesome. But they took that ability away about a couple years ago. And so we had to change things up. Now, how do you change things up if they don't let you throw a link in there? Well, you can do it two ways. Let me go back in here to edit posts. One way to put a link in there is actually just to display the link as text. So you could say, for more information information, visit www.landforsale.com/prop1. You want to make this link very simple, because if you do something like this, somebody actually has to copy the text out and then paste it into the address bar in their computer. Most people do not know how to do this. So this is a very rudimentary way of doing it. It works, I would say, partly some of the time, where somebody actually knows how to copy, select, and copy and paste. The other thing is, if you go to GoDaddy.com and you just actually register a brand new domain, that's very simple. So if you go to GoDaddy and say register www.landdealsdealprop.com, let's say, and that one forwards to a landing page of this property, then that also works. The benefit of having just one domain or a main domain that forwards over to your marketing piece or your marketing part of your website, or your squeeze page, opt-in page, let's say. There's all kinds of names for it, sorry. But we call it the opt-in page in your investment dominator. The good thing about creating a redirect like this, as long as it's simple and easy to remember, people will actually remember that and type that in to the browser, and it'll go to that website. So that it's a little bit better than actually creating some kind of an extra link on your site, like land for sale. This is very hard for somebody to actually type in unless they know how to copy and paste. So keep that in mind. Now, the second option that you can think that actually works very well is not in your featured image, but in your, let me go over here, edit images, in like one of your other images. So not the very first one, but in other images, put a overlay here that says virtual tour, for virtual tour visit, and then the email or the web address of your opt-in page. The reason why that works is people love to watch videos or virtual tours of the property. So you actually have a video or virtual tour, and you actually overlay that over this. Then when people look at your image, they see that it stands out because it's an overlay, and they're going to actually take the time to go to that website and check it out because they want to see a video of the property. They want to see a virtual tour, and they know that Craigslist does not allow for virtual tours and videos, so they will actually proactively do that. So that's just a little tip that works currently, and as long as you do it on your other pictures, not on your very first one, you shouldn't get flagged for something like that. Now, one thing I will say is, once you publish this, click publish, it's going to tell you most likely that you need to click on a link in your email. So we got to go back to our Gmail account and go in here and look for an email from Craigslist, and here it is. They sent us an email and they said we need to click on this link to verify the ad. So we're going to go ahead and click on it, and here is where they're asking us for a verification number. Now, you heard me mention this before. The verification number does not mean the same number that's in your Craigslist ad. It just needs to be a real phone, or at least something that you can validate by a text or a voice. They're going to actually send you a code, and you got to type in that code. So now, obviously, people don't have many different phone lines. So the service that we use is called Linespan.com. This currently works. Now, it is a paid service, but it only costs $1.50 for a phone number that's actually going to work for Craigslist. Okay, so there's many phone verification services out there. A lot of them don't work. I've heard people say that Google Voice works. It's never worked for me, so I don't know about that. Maybe there's something I don't know, but I do know that this actually works for me. Linespan.com. Create an account with them. It's actually free to create the account, but the phone number that you need, and you might want to write this down, is a premium number. And the premium numbers, you can select the area. So you could select a Florida area, for example. They're going to give you a phone number in Florida. And the premium numbers cost $1.50 for 10 days. Now, you only need these phone lines for really 1 day, but 10 days is plenty. So what you want to do is create the account with LineSpan, buy a premium number in that area, and then once you get that phone number, you're going to come back over here and enter that in. Now, that number is just random. They will choose a number, so let's just say that the number is this phone number. You just enter it in, and what happens is when you hit send verification, Craigslist is going to send an automated message that has a unique code in there to whatever phone line. In this case, it's going to go to linespan.com, and in linespan.com, you configure the phone number to forward whatever voicemail is left to your real phone number, and so or your real email address. It doesn't matter which, because what will happen is LineSpan will actually forward you the message from Craigslist, which has that secret code in there. And then when you do that, and I'm not sure if that's actually a phone number, so I'm going to type in 555. I'll actually click send verification code. Well, they don't recognize this as a number, but what's going to happen is there's going to be another box in here where you can enter in that secret code. And Craigslist only really requires you to do this once every 90 days. So again, these LineSpan numbers for $1.50, they're good for 10 days. They're plenty. You might have to then in 90 days renew this and buy another LineSpan number for $1.50. But it's very, very cheap, and it's well worth it. So that is currently what works right now. Again, you want to buy a platinum or premium number from LineSpan. It's $1.50, and choose the area that your property is located in. Okay, lastly, there is a lot of flagging going on in Craigslist. Some of it is legitimate users flagging people that are posting basically spam out there on Craigslist. Since we're not posting spam, we're just posting a legitimate property in a local area. We shouldn't be getting flagged if we're following all the rules and we're not making it too blatant. We're not spamming, but sometimes people will go and flag just because they don't like you, they don't like your ad for some reason, and they can just go and easily flag. So, for example, you click on one of these things here, at the scrolling down to the bottom and clicking this flag option, and then basically you flag the ad. Now, Craigslist is monitoring how many times your ad gets flagged against the number of times people actually view it and don't flag it, right? So that's one way that they automatically or in the background are deciding whether to take down your ad or not. So it's basically a ratio type deal where they're looking at the number of times it's been flagged versus the number of times that it's been viewed. So currently, again, they can change this at any time, but currently, once you get your account verified, you want to actually click on, they're going to send you a link to your ad. They send it to your email address. You actually want to click on that at Craigslist ad about 50 times. Just keep opening it up. Open it up so you have like 50 tabs of your same ad open on your browser. What that does is basically is going to log a hit or a view on your ad. And so if somebody now flags you a couple times, it's not necessarily going to report you to Craigslist, right? Because you've built in enough views for a couple of flags not to matter. And that kind of weeds out all the trolls out there trying to flag everybody for every type of reason. So keep that in mind. It's another little trick that we like to do, and it avoids you from getting flagged. Now, kind of to sum this whole process up, one thing you want to keep in mind is you only want to really post a few property ads on one account. Now, if you have, like, let's say 3 properties in the same area or 2 properties in the same area, exact same area, maybe they're like within a mile of each other, then go ahead and use one Craigslist account to post those ads on. That's going to be perfectly fine. But let's say that you have one property in Jacksonville but another property in Arizona. You don't want to use the same account to post the Jacksonville property as you do the one in Arizona. That's one thing, because again, so you want to because they want a local person posting a local ad, and if you've got a property in Arizona and a property in Florida but on the same account, then they already know right there that you're not a local person. So to avoid that, you actually want to set up multiple accounts. So if you have 1 or 2 properties in the same area, you're fine to post them on one account. But as soon as you get multiple properties in different areas, create a Craigslist account for different areas that you are posting in. And the also is, let's say that you have more than 3 properties that are in the same area. I would still create additional accounts, Craigslist accounts, for everything above 3 properties. So for example, if I have 6 properties in Jacksonville, Florida, I would probably have at least 2 Craigslist accounts, 2 different Craigslist accounts with 2 different line span numbers to post my 6 properties, even though they're in the exact same area. The reason I do that is because the other thing that Craigslist is looking at is they don't want anybody spamming a dealer, just dumping a bunch of items for sale on Craigslist. So if you split them up by account, it looks like 2 separate owners. Even if you have the same email addresses and the same phone numbers in the actual ad itself, they don't monitor that. But they're more monitoring it on the account level at this time. So by splitting it up into multiple accounts, you're kind of avoiding that check to see if you are a person that just spams or just posts a bunch of ads for a bunch of products in the area constantly, which they're trying to avoid. So if you sell the properties, let's say that you have 6 properties and you sell 3 of them, but then you buy 3 more, then you can still continue using the 2 accounts, because as you sell them, that's fine. You just mark them as sold, and then you post your new ones up there. But I would say at a maximum, don't post more than 3 properties on one account. And if they're in different areas on Craigslist, then definitely create separate accounts for each area. So with keeping all that in mind, you should be able to post your ads on Craigslist and get a ton of inquiries on your property. The last and final thing, I almost forgot, the last thing is that Craigslist is a blog, if you haven't figured out. And what I mean by that is when you post your listing, you're going to be at the top of the charts, basically. And then as other people post their ads, it pushes your ad down. So when you post, you push everybody's ad down 1, and then when other people post, they push you down a notch. And so what you want to do is monitor these categories to see how fast your listing gets to the bottom of the page, because if you notice here, it does have a bottom of the page, and then somebody has to click next. The majority of the people will never click next. So you want to be on the first page of Craigslist. And the only way to do that is to constantly be monitoring how fast your ad moves down to the bottom of the page. And once it gets close to the bottom of the page, you're actually going to go into your Craigslist account. So in this case, we'll go back into Craigslist here. We'll go into your account. And we only have the draft one because we didn't actually post it right now. But if we did post it, it would be under postings. What you want to do is actually delete it. There'll be an option to delete it. And then you want to repost it. But when you repost it, it's very important that you change a little bit of the title and a little bit of the body of the ads, as well as rearrange your pictures a little bit. And it can be as little as changing one word out, or a couple of commas, or something like, or rewording a sentence or 2. So again, you can keep the same phone numbers in there. That all should be fine currently. but do rework your wording on your title, your body, and rearrange one of your pictures as far as the order of it, and or maybe upload a new picture or delete a picture, and then repost it. When you repost it, now you're going to be shown at the very top of the Craigslist feed again, and you'll notice your calls and your inquiries all of a sudden jump back within a few hours of doing that, because people now see you at the top. Alright, so that was the last tip of this video, and if you follow all these tips, currently, like I said, it works great. Craigslist at any time can change these restrictions and the way they track them and the way they monitor them. So kind of be flexible, but always keep in mind what their end goal is, that they want to see local stuff in local categories and being pushed out to a local audience. So as long as you keep that in mind, then you should be good no matter what they decide to change in the future.
All right, so thank you very much for watching this. Again, this is now, you have an opportunity to actually not see me in action, but one of my longtime team members, Alex Dela Cruz. He has been with us for over 10, 11 years, and he's our head of marketing. He knows the stuff inside out. He's awesome. And he's also actually recording this video, so he hears me saying that because he is awesome. So having said that, just a couple of things that I want to mention. By the way, what I wanted to mention is that Craigslist changes their rules all the time. So not all the time, but every few months, perhaps every half a year, they might change something. And what worked one time not necessarily works anymore. Now, their basic rules always work the same way. What changes is the way that you have to sometimes go about to authenticate your account, to make sure that you can sell properties in multiple areas with multiple accounts and so on. So that changes a little bit over time. So what I would encourage you is to look at this module every once in a while again, like once every half a year or so. Come back, check it out, because if Craigslist changed something, shortly afterwards we're going to go and we're going to redo this module and bring it back to you in a new version. And that's why it's so beautiful that this course is an online course that you can go in and see see as we update it along over time, versus before it was a DVD course and you had the DVD sitting there and nobody could update them ever. So therefore we can update it on an ongoing basis. So having said that, let's move on to the next module, and I see you there.